Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Championship Week here on the Coach Shawn Witten Show. I'm Stacy Street along with my partner Tony Briggs, WBEJ Radio Sports. As you can tell behind us, the Christmas edition of the Coach Shawn Witten Show. That can only mean it's state championship time. Tonight we're going to talk to Coach Witten about the big win last week over Upperman in the semifinal game to reach today's championship game at Chattanooga against what's going to be considered the last standing undefeated team this year, Tullahoma, at least until this game's over with. Coach Witten, let's talk first about you got a chance to come back to Citizens Bank Stadium last week, coming off just a huge win against Greenville. And as you said last week, that win didn't matter if you didn't take care of business last week, and that's what you did against Upperman.
Well, it was a great overall performance. Tremendous effort by our defense. We did a great job early in the first quarter of getting a good lead. We got some turnovers early. Got a great turnover on a kickoff coverage on our first score, and just tremendous toughness by our defense. We just couldn't put Upperman away. Give Upperman credit, Stacy, just really good, solid on defense. They made some adjustments. They gave our lineups a couple times, a couple series, and we struggled to get blocking them. We had field position, backed up where we couldn't get out of it. But our defense found a way to pull us through, just tough all night against the run. Late there, right before halftime, they started to get a little wiggle room with the quarterback. They were able to kind of come out in the second half and kind of get the quarterback going. But a couple key plays in the game, no bigger than the stop two-point conversion by them. To keep it 16-6, kept it 2 scores, and just a great semifinal game. Really great competition. Upperman had some great guys on their defense and offensive side, and really played and beat a good football team.
It felt like in the first half that the Cyclones were really in control of the game. You just couldn't get that breathing room, it felt like. And as they come along, and as you said, they got a little momentum. That was a huge play by stopping on that 2-point conversion. Also, when Jake was able to, the guy was by him and he reached out and knocks the ball out. That was another big play. Just a good hustle play by him.
Well, it was. Really thought he was going to score on that play, and Jake just kind of strips it and recovers it right before it goes out of bounds. So, the ball's got to bounce your way sometimes in those semifinal and championship games, and we've had our fair share. But just super proud of our front seven, to be honest with you. We had 2 dropped interceptions too. Our defense is really playing great. And, it's okay to win with our defense. We just, stopping people from scoring, and 2 weeks in a row, we held Greenville and Upperman just to 1 score. That's playing really good defense. And so we just didn't make enough plays in the passing game at times, put some consistent drives together. But just tremendous fight and grit by our guys to come away with a big win.
How much did the week before play into last week? You come off, we've talked about it, and we wore the hair off that horse. But it's just such an emotional game, and a game. Did that play into it last week? You
could see a little bit even after the game celebration. There was a mental and physical exhaustion. There was a soreness that didn't kind of start to move away till Wednesday of last week. Just Trenton, those guys, Brad, and then our linemen. We held Connor Johnson out 2 days of practice. We held Cade out 2 days of practice. So just, this time of season, it's just a lot of wear and tear, and it just becomes really all mental. Just how much time we stay on the field versus how much individual drills we do, how much tackling and putting ourselves on the ground do we do in some drills. So it's just really been a fight and a grit to get to this point. Bryson, I don't think he was the same, carrying the ball 38 times. Just, how much can you get your body going for the next day of practice? So, it's just a lot of determination, a lot of, work by those guys. Extremely proud of them. Each week, this playoff run from Knox Carter to Anderson County to Greenville to Upperman. It's just been so physical. I mean, just the line of scrimmages has been brutal. But our guys, were able to dig deep and come out with a big win.
You pick up what you was talking about. You was talking about how physical Upperman was and Greenville was. Go all the way back during the season. Anderson County up here, physical football game. Ray County, physical football. Then we go back to Anderson County, physical. Listening to the Zoom meeting that they played, I listened to the replay of it. Upperman's coach said, or Tullahoma's coach says that they were a physical team. Do you see them being as physical as what we've already encountered in probably 10 of the last 13 weeks?
Well, I think it's a lot of similarities. I mean, I think in some ways that, that they're a spread football team that, mixes the run and the pass. A lot of these teams we faced the last couple of weeks have been just so run heavy. I mean, Caleb Johnson to Drew to Grayson to Blake to Eli Williams. I mean, it just gets super tough. And then on top of that, when you're asking guys to help a little bit both ways, Trenton, Brad, Mason Ball, Blake, Cade Russell is just blocking. It becomes it takes a toll on you. We forget sometimes that these guys are teenagers and still, it's still going through the process. But Cade got banged up on an early quarter run, and we had to put Nate back there at times, and then we just had to do the best we can, and we missed out on some short yardage situations. But it does. I mean, there's only so much pounding a guy like Trenton Taylor can take, or Connor Johnson. You're playing 14 games, 15 games on top of the practices, and how hard we work. I mean, it just becomes, it becomes a mental game, and Tullahoma brings that, but they also bring it in the passing game because they are good and they are experienced at the receiver position. They've got a lot of seniors, so there's a difference times when you got guys on the field going through physicality when you're younger, but there's a difference when you're older and you've been through it, you've been through the fire. So there's a lot of similarities to the teams we've played in the past, but obviously, at this point in time, you got to throw all that out to find a way to win this last game.
I didn't mean to jump ahead to Tullahoma, but the whole toughness is what struck. Back to the Upperman game, it looked like their Mike linebacker, number 2, was probably one of the top 2 Mike backers that we faced all year long. He was everywhere. I mean, you could just go back and watch the replay. He was delivering with a force.
Well, I think every time we've been on this show, Tony, from Science Hill, they had the best 2 linebackers all year, and then
they just keep growing.
And then boom, Ray County had 2 5A preseason All-State guys, and then you get Anderson County's players. I mean, it just becomes, and then you got the guys at Greenville just don't even get better than that. But it just becomes, Upperman. Not only that, but they had 2 really good defensive ends. Number 34 and 9 anchored it and were disruptive as about as anybody as we played against. Number 2 just did a great job of when he hit you, you felt it. It was some hard hitting out there, especially with 28, 20 degrees out there when it's cold too. So just super proud of our guys' toughness. Finding a way to win. It's never sometimes even today, Tony. It may be ugly, It just you got to find a way to survive and advance. We sit here today, and very few of our kids remember the score from 19 and 20.
Yeah.
It's just about survival and moving on. And 10, 15 years from now, nobody will remember that team we played in the semifinals. It's all about the next game. So it's just a great win at home in front of the bank. 45-4 since 2015. We've played some spectacular football this year at home, and so it's just, you got to be playing good at the right time. The tough situations help you move forward. You learn a lot from the film, and also you build confidence when you win good football games, but you also you build a lot more confidence when you win football games against really good football teams.
Final question for this segment on Upperman. Going back and watching just snippets of the film, what do you feel like that we jumped the biggest jump from the Greenville game to the Upperman game, facing a different style of defense?
Well, I think just our secondary's done a great job of adjusting. teams that run the ball, and then you got to be able to stop the run and stop the pass of the athleticism of guys on the edge like Greenville. The quarterback and run it, the running back and run it. Then you got to be ready for the fast screens. Then you also got to be ready for the vertical threat. I thought our secondary has done a great job of tackling for one, getting their hands on the ball. We're in the throwing lanes. We jumped some routes. We were right there. We just didn't capitalize on some interceptions. But it shows that our minds are in the right place. It shows that our, we're headed in the right direction. And I think today that's going to be huge. We've challenged our secondary all year long and our skill guys to be better than other people's secondaries. We've waited, we've worked, and they're playing their best football this time of the year.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for last week's recap over Upperman. We'll come back after these words and we'll preview today's 4A state championship as your Cyclones take on Tullahoma Wildcats. We'll be back after these words. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Coach Shawn Witten Show. Coach, coming in, looking at the film on Tullahoma, some people say they remind you of us last year. Some of them say they remind you of a Science Hill of this year. They like to spread it out, but they like to run a lot of jets and it's like the Anderson County Jets. It's a toss forward. It's not really a handoff. It's more of a toss forward. How do you come off of a defense or an offensive team in Upperman that was predominantly run heavy, Greenville, which was relied on their run, now we're going to a more of a pass half here?
Well, we're fortunate we've played enough teams at this point, even going back to last year and the year before, that you can pull some files out of the cabinets and see some of the things that we've done really well against these teams. But yeah, they're very similar to a Science Hill. When we started this season, Tony, we knew that the experience that Science Hill had come back. I mean, over 30 seniors as a 6A football program. I mean, just the experience of those guys played with, and they, playing them first game of the year and all the way through. But you just don't play a team that has that many seniors. Well, Tullahoma has a lot of those seniors. 21 out of 22 starters are seniors. It's a very well-coached team. They do a lot of great things well. They are predominantly spread. There's multiple wide receiver sets. I mean, they do a great job at what they do. They're very big up front in some ways. Play a lot of guys flip over and play some defense. So, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of plays that go lateral, where you got to cover not just the length of the field, but you got to cover the width. They're going to do a great job of trying to get the ball out in space to see if they can break some tackles. They're going to try to minimize the strength of our team, which is our defensive line. They're going to make our backers chase, and so I don't know if it's any tougher than what we did 2 weeks ago against Greenville with people on the outside that run 4.4s, and then you got guys that can go up and get it. They got 35-plus verticals, but you just got to do a great job. They use multiple formations to out-leverage you, and they put the ball lateral. So, we just got to do a great job of playing football with our eyes. Defense has got to rally to the ball. When you put the ball lateral, there's also double moves involved. Pump fakes and goes, slants goes, bubble goes, quick screen goes, hitches and goes, a lot of double move routes. So we just got to do a great job of keeping them in front of us, play solid defense like we've done to this point.
How do you combat that on the defensive side of the ball? How do you confuse their quarterback, throw them a wrinkle that they've not seen, show one press, drop out a press? How do you incorporate that into the game plan?
Well, I think one of the things we've got to do is, we've done a great job all year long of mixing up our fronts. The ability to do that with the versatility Kevin Johnson allows us to do a lot of different things there. We've also played some robber coverage to help take away the middle of the field. This team likes to run a lot of in cuts, dig routes, crossing routes. And the biggest difference, too, Tony, is I don't know how many people we've played that have quarterbacks that can throw it. They may run it a little bit, but this guy today is really a dual threat quarterback. The ability to make the scrambles. They put 5 receivers out a lot of times so that when he scrambles to the right or left, he's got people that he can make throws to. So that's going to be the biggest difference today is we can't allow him to make to extend the football plays. Those are plays that you can't coach, you can't teach. So hopefully today, early on, we can put some pressure on him. We can make him hold on to the ball. We can maybe get a couple shots on him early. They make him tentative. And also, I think a big factor in our defensive performance today will be guys like Trenton get their hands up. I think batted balls at the line of scrimmage, tip passes, guys like Eli Williams getting in the throwing lanes can help us out a ton. And then maybe all year long we've worked Mason Ball at the star linebacker. Hopefully Mason's length can help, get in the throwing lanes.
Let's pick up right there. This run we've had the last 3 weeks, everybody contributed, but those 3 linebackers, Stewart, Williams, and Ball, played lights out. When you look at this team, and you're right, we say this every single week. That's this season. That's the 2021 season. When you look at this team on film, though, we played Greenville, which was amazing on offense. We've seen good defenses, but when you look at this Tullahoma team, all 3 phases, especially, they got an all-state kicker. Have we faced anybody that is as solid as a team in all 3 phases?
Well, I think their experience and that, it's a special group that's probably come up together when you have that many seniors. It's a quarterback that, in 2 years he's only lost 1 game. And they themselves, being pushed to the other side this year, they've also played some uncommon opponents, So they've also played 2 teams that are about as talented as anybody in state, and that's Pearl-Cohn and Haywood, that has tons of athleticism, tons of speed. And what stands out the most, too, Stacy, is last week in a semifinal game at home, they were down 16-7, and they bounced right back. So this team, when they faced adversity, they responded, and they made a lot of plays on the outside. So I think tonight's game, a key ingredient is going to be how well we hold up in our defensive secondary.
And tying into what you said about this quarterback, we faced some good quarterbacks this year. Tony and I talked about this a little bit earlier in the week. We haven't faced one like him, though, that will throw the ball at any time to anybody. We see a lot of quarterbacks, and even Quillen at Greenville, he looked for Gillespie a lot and didn't see the other ones. This guy will fire it to anybody that he sees in the same color jersey down the field. So how do you deal with that? Because he's not going to give you a lot of keys.
Well, sometimes, with a dual threat quarterback, it goes back to sometimes if you blitz him and you don't get there, he'll make you pay for it. And then, we're really not a ton of man-to-man team. So it's more about zone blitzes. It's more about dropping in the zone, in some looks. It's showing a 3-man front, still bringing 5. It's maybe bringing a backer and dropping a defensive end and to cut the coverage. So we've just got to do a great job of just, they're going to throw and catch some on us, Stacy. We just got to be there to make the tackles. We just can't allow big plays, missed tackles. They do a lot of just, throwing the ball lateral, but they're just hoping they're banking on you missing the play, that they're going to get those guys out in space. And the thing about it is I think he feels confident throwing to a lot of those guys because they're all seniors. I mean, just the comfort of having seniors out there that he's grown up with and he feels comfortable with. But, also they've done a great job to this point. They really have limited the amount of times that he's actually run the ball. But I would expect today that 3rd downs, short yardage, he will also be involved in the running game.
Let's wrap up this 2021 season. We sat here back in August before you played that Science Hill game, and everybody just kind of scratched their head when you looked at this schedule and said, goodness gracious, I've never seen one like that. Last week of the season, state championship game, a new site, Chattanooga. You stand here, lost 1 game, avenged that loss, and you stand here now on the brink of a chance to win the 3rd state championship in a row. We all know what kind of mark that puts on this program, not only to get here, but have a chance to win it. What do you, as the head football coach, tell this team after all they've been through this year? How do you get that last ounce of blood out of them to finish this game? What do you do?
Well, I mean, they just gotta do what they've done to get to this point. They got to follow those seniors. They got to be willing to lay it on the line for each other. It's really just leaving their legacy on this program. You know, they just got to. It's tough to really put into words. You know,
That's why I asked the question.
You know, these guys have done everything we've asked them to do. We have meshed experience with youth.
More than any time in the last 3 years.
More than any time. We have been able to, our experience has been patient as we brought people along. Our youth has been good enough to listen to us, to help, allow us to help them bring them along. You know, and I just think that this group, ever since that loss, has been out to prove something. You know, it's not about, you know, tying all the things together. It's about us and our identity, and just, you know, even the guys like Cade Russell and Bradley Cannon that are juniors, or Nate Dalton, they're not seniors, but they played a huge part in this. And, you know, we just got to do it one more time. We got to hang in there. We got to fight like crazy. But, you know, we really and truly are probably a tighter team and a closer team than even the previous 2 seasons. And that's hard to imagine. Mm-hmm. But we've got the guy that in the locker room that the people believe in. And as long as there's time on the clock, as long as there's seconds on the clock, as long as we got the ball, there's always a chance with Bryson Rollins. And this guy has led us to the promised land, and I think these guys are willing to follow him one more time.
Coach, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, go there and you can see what's behind us here, the orange and black Christmas trees. That means it's championship time. We appreciate you joining us, Coach Witten. We've appreciated it all year, and your insight and taking the time to speak with us. And ladies and gentlemen, it is here, the moment we've all been waiting for, as your state championship game will follow after these messages from here in Chattanooga, as the Elizabethton Cyclones have a chance to go for 3 state championships in a row as they face the Tullahoma Wildcats. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors and have your calls of the game. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to halftime at the state championship game. We're obviously filming this a little bit before, and as we did with Coach Witten, this is the Christmas edition of the halftime show. Last couple of years, we've been taking the halftime to talk about people, about what it means to be a Cyclone. And we've had these 2 gentlemen on here before, but we thought it was fitting at the championship game to bring number 10 and number 17 in about what they meant to the Cyclone program. We got Bryson Rollins here with us and Jake Roberts. We're going to interview them together while we're here. Bryson, let's start with you. Whether you ever thought it 3 years ago or not that you're the leader of this team, you got a chance to go out in your senior season, 1 loss and 3 state championships. How does a young man, how do you sort that out in your mind?
Yeah, you know, I moved to Eastside in 5th grade, and those Eastside kids really brought me in, and it just got better, and everyone's connection got better, and friendships are built when you're playing for Elizabethton, and that's what it's all about, a brotherhood that you can have a bond with and just have a good time and enjoy those Friday night lights, because there's not many. And but ever since then, those guys really brought me in and just made me like family, and it just means a lot.
Talk a little bit about the game coming up Saturday. Tell us what your gut feeling is going against yet another undefeated team. Some people say as an underdog against a Tullahoma team. What's your approach to this game Saturday, knowing it'll be the last high school football game that you played in Cyclone?
Yeah, we know it's going to be tough and physical, and they've had some good competition, and they played some really tough teams, and they fought hard to get here. So we know it's going to be a dogfight, and we can't expect nothing less. And when you play for Elizabeth, you want everybody's best shot, and we know that's what we're going to get. And just go out one last time with your friends and your buddies, and just have a good time and enjoy it.
All right, Jake. Going into this year, with me and Ryan was talking about this earlier. Your sophomore year, you never seen the field on offense. You played defense all. Last year, you was opposite of Parker. This year, you become the go-to guy. How did the all-season training that you went into go into playing a role of how that your mindset went into this year?
It played a pretty big part of it. You know, me and Bryson was always on the field throwing routes, whether it was just us or us and Coach Witten or a few other guys. But we was always getting work in because we knew that we was going to need to have a connection this year if we wanted to make a run. And we were doing a pretty good job of that.
If you look around you, you know, you've got some, and this is no slap in the face, we got some young other receivers. You know, Dalton's been a quarterback. He moved over this year. You know, Nate's been a wide receiver and a running back, so he's still a little bit. He's young. He ain't got the experience. How do they look up to you, and what do you do as a senior receiver with over 60 catches this year? Help these next year and the year after, and even some of the freshmen the year after that, just continue to improve their game.
It's all about really knowing your role because, you know, I've never been like the go-to guy until this year, but I've been in a role where I'm not playing offense at all, where I'm just corner, and then I've been in the role last year where, yeah, I know I wasn't the best guy. I got a few catches, but I'm out there to make a difference where I can. And then this year, to being a guy, it's all about knowing your role, knowing how you're going to help the team, what you can do to better the team.
All right, and this one's for both of you. And I'll turn it back to Stacy. Stacy alluded to, got a chance to lose one game in the last 3 years. You lose 3 games in your 4-year career if we finish this one out. You got a chance to go down as the all-time winningest 4-year class in Northeast Tennessee to surpass the 2018-2019 Greenville with 53 victories. They got 52. How does that make you all feel? And is that a testament to the pushing that Coach Witten done at T.A. Duggar and also Coach Shawn Witten and this coaching staff has done for you all?
Yeah, you know, Coach Ryan has it started when everybody was little going to Witten huddle, and everybody got a repetition of how practice was going to go and like what your role was going to be and all that, and just being able for him to do that and start those guys at a younger age to build that connection that a lot of us older guys have. It means a lot, and it takes a lot of work because everything starts with practice, and you got to learn how to practice before you go out and play, and because you have to do that every single day, and just being able to practice hard and knowing you got to get better is what it's all about.
Yeah, as far as being like the most winningest class, I think that would mean a lot to our guys because we grew up around here like always watching guys like Ethan Thomas, Terrence Turner, you know, all those guys we always looked up to, and now like we have a chance to be considered the best out of all of them, like much less East Tennessee, you know, and mean even more because, you know, Greenville really set the standard in East Tennessee for a while until we were able to pass them up a little bit the past few years, and so, you know, I mean everything to be considered the best around here.
I like that for a while. You took care of that.
I like it.
Guys, there's not another radio station in this state that is to sit down and interview the 2 prior MVPs in the state championship game. Bryson did it year before last. Jake, you did it last year. Who's going to get it this year?
You know, but go out and play.
Why don't you put up enough numbers, we'll lobby for you to be co-MVP. Because, guys, Jake, you're right. As somebody that spent my whole life watching Cyclone football, and you see these heroes there, and they talk about the glory days of Cyclone football. We'll end this just by Tony and I saying, thanks to you two, we are in the glory days of Cyclone football. And on behalf of the Cyclone fans and Tony and myself, I want to thank you all and know what you mean to this program, know what you mean to those little kids out there playing cut ball in the end zone when they're not supposed to be, watching you guys. You set a standard that's going to be really hard to keep up with. But good luck on Saturday. You're bringing home for the Cyclones and cement that legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, we certainly do appreciate these two young men, all they've done for us as Cyclone fans, and thank them for joining us tonight. Tony and I will be back after these words from our sponsors with your second half as the Cyclones go for the third straight championship here in Chattanooga. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.